out of the way for the goal. Move out of the way for the goal.
Oh, big knee!
The greatest of all time.
Here we go, the epic trilogy fight.
For the first time ever, Demetrious Johnson defends the one flyweight world championship in the USA.
Greatest of all time. I'm an animal. No bark or bite. That's why they call me GOAT.
One Fight Night 10. Johnson versus Moraes 3 on Prime Video.
And I think the narrative, the media ran with it. They're like, DJ's final fight. I'm like, I haven't heard him say that.
Yeah. And I think, where that narrative came from, I mean, it could be my last fight, right? Like you said, you're an athlete. You've fought before. I'm sure you've had these feelings arise in your training camp when you're getting for your next big fight. And for me, I'm human. These are my emotions that I feel. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when is it time to call it? When do you walk away from the sport? And it's something I've never, charted on before.
And now, Brandon Thiccc Schaub.
What's up, brother?
Another beautiful day, man. It's big time.
Yeah, man, you look good. What do you use? Moisturizer? Jesus, it can't be the altitude out there, man. It's dry as shit. Your skin is fantastic.
I have a great skin routine. So I use moisturizer and get the beard moisturized. So yeah, moisturize, baby.
How do you not have a beard sponsor at this point, or do you?
I don't. I do have a thing going with Manscaped, but that's only one time deal. So I don't know why. Maybe you can talk to somebody, get me hooked up.
Yeah, I'll talk to the boys over at Manscaped. You should be the face of Manscaped. Jesus, dude. I do a lot of interviews with dudes on here, and your face is distractingly smooth, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you got to Denver early, smart man, because the altitude out there. How early are we talking?
Talking April 18th. Got here April 18th, right after I hit New York. I came right out here and we trained at Dwayne Ludwig's for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. I felt like it feels like 2 weeks. And now we're at the host hotel, finish up the altitude. So, and all before we fight, it might be 2.5 to close to 3 weeks.
You should be good because usually they say, I'm from Denver, so usually they say it takes about 2 weeks to get acclimated to the the air up there. You should be fine. Also, it's not like you've ever had a freaking issue with cardio. I figured even for a guy like you, I mean, at this level though, especially the guy you're fighting, I can see why you get early, but it's never been a thing for you.
Yeah, I fought here back in 2009 or 10 when I fought Nick Pace back in WC, and I came out here 2 weeks prior to the event and it felt fine. But I didn't want to take any chance. I know my cardio is always great, so I was like, nah, let's get out here. It's only for one time of the year. Let's get the altitude in me and go out there and compete.
Yeah, you fought Nick Pace in 2010 WEC in Broomfield. So this was the last time you were there. Now you're back, and it's kind of groundbreaking because the first time one championship is hitting the soils here in the United States. Kind of a big deal, man. We had Chatri and Mikey here in studio at Thick Boy on Fire and the Kid, and it just feels like you can feel it. There's like something big around this event, Do you feel any pressure being the main event? Not that you've never, that's your thing. You're the main event guy. You're the GOAT. So it's your thing. But this one's a little different because it's, it's a new organization. There's a lot riding on it. Mikey was a little stressed out, because he's like, think how I feel, man. I'm doing a jiu-jitsu match, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely has more pressure than I do because mixed martial arts has already been established here in the States, right? Like everybody knows
big time
mixed martial arts. Then I'm also, like you said, I've headlined big cards in the States, in California, Vegas, Toronto, even though it's America. I mean, it is America, but it's in Canada. So for me, it's no added pressure. I think for Mikey, he probably feels that pressure because, grappling isn't always the biggest thing to the mixed martial arts American community in general, right? Like when you watch like the UFC or Bellator or whatever it may, when they see people start grappling, they're like, stand him up, dude!
Rip his head off.
Stand him up. So I think for Mikey, he might feel a little bit of that pressure, but I think once they see Mikey and, Rotolo Brothers and RDR go out there and grapple, and it just offers something different. I tell everybody, like, one championship is like going to a party and there's multiple things on the menu instead of when you watch, the other organizations here in America, you get one fixed menu. It's chicken. That's all you're going to get.
Yep.
Mixed martial art. For one championship, you can Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, and maybe even hopefully in the future, maybe a boxing fight again.
Yeah, I think especially the way this card lines up, you got you on, who obviously the American crowd's familiar with, and then if people don't know, they're gonna know with Rod Tang. They need to know with Rod Tang here in America. That dude is a straight savage. And then with Mikey too, he was saying how he feels pressure, but also in this camp, like it's been attack. He's like, well, I'm not just gonna sit on my butt and do the thing. He's like, I know, what's at stake here, and we're gonna make this exciting. And his opponent Osama is also understands the stakes, so they're gonna put on a show. So I'm excited for it. Here's the narrative. This is credit to you. This is how powerful you are right now. Is the rumor came out? I mean, not a rumor. You started that this might be your last fight. I call bullshit. I don't feel that. You tell me if I'm off on this. I was talking to the team before. It could be. You know what I'm saying? It could be at your level. It's like you could fight till you're 44. Like you're doing the damn thing. So it's like the last one could have been your last one, but it's not like it's not like almost a Masvidal situation where we know, like a Donald Cerrone, where we know it's the last one. It's like, yeah, maybe. And I think the narrative, the media ran with it. They're like, DJ's final fight. I'm like, I haven't heard him say that.
Yeah. And I think, where that narrative came from, I mean, it could be my last fight, right? Like you said, you're an athlete. You've fought before. I'm sure you've had these feelings arise in your training camp when you're getting for your next big fight. And for me, I'm human. These are my emotions that I feel. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when is it time to call it? When do you walk away from the sport? And it's something I never, charted on before, right? I've had these feelings before, but I've never actually expressed them to the public and talk about it. And for me, when I look at guys like GSP, Habib Nurmagomedov, the other guys who walked away from the sport, those two, they didn't walk away from the sport when they were losing, right? Like Tyron Woodley, he walked away from the sport when he was losing. Donald Cerrone, same thing.
Chael Sonnen, all these guys. They walk away too late.
They were walking away when they were losing. Yeah. So for me, I could fight when I'm 40. I'm healthy. I'm still fast. Weight is great. I love dieting. I love training. I love competing. But there has to come a point in time where the athlete needs to take a step back and look, hey, hey, your brand is big. You've pretty much accomplished everything in mixed martial arts. So when you can't fight forever, so when are you going to make that step to start focusing on other things outside of mixed martial arts? Also, when you look at GSP, he became a world champion. A lot of people are talking about how Henry Cejudo, he's coming back after 3 years. It's never been done before. It has been done before. GSP did it.
Correct. At middleweight.
He was the champion. He beat Johnny Hendricks. He was all bruised up. He goes, I'm going to take time away from the sport. I'm going to retire. Then he came back and beat Michael Bisping, became the middleweight champ, and then he left again. So he could have kept on fighting. Maybe he could. I haven't talked to him yet, but I plan on reaching out to him. And then, Habib, I think he's kind of set when when his father passed, he promised his mom, he's a man of his word. Yep. So for me, I think having, like you said, the media ran with it as a great narrative. This could be my last fight. And sure, it could be my last fight. After this fight, we sit down, relax, and talk to the wife and just see what we want to do.
Yeah, I think too, like the sacrifices that you have to make in order to get to your level, and to be considered one of the GOATs, the expectations, the sacrifice you have to make, and you have kids, you got kiddos, you got a wife. So it's like, how long do you want to sacrifice, because you're in Denver now, you've been there for 2 weeks. Well, that means you're not dropping the kiddos off at school, not picking them up. All that stuff's important, man. Yeah. Trust me, I get it, man. I deal with it with touring. It kills me, man, when I have to leave. But at your level, you got to make those sacrifices. So at some point, it's like, I guess my question for you is like, what else is there to do? Obviously, you enjoy competing. You're at the highest level. But when I look at the roster at one championship, I'm like, all right, if he beats Moraes, who's this absolute savage, you beat him again, that chapter's over. So I guess I was trying to put myself in your shoes. I'm like, what else would he do? It could be that, or maybe take some time off and wait for contenders to earn their keep and get the names, and then you come out of the shadows and beat the shit out of them.
Nah, for me, you gotta keep it going. You gotta keep, I want to sit down and wait. If I sit down and wait, then I'm gonna go focus on other things. Because if I sit down and wait and focus on other things and wait for somebody to come, they're grinding, they're getting ready while I'm focused on businesses, focused on not in the gym, focused on things that are gonna make me money outside of fighting.
Yeah.
So that's where people kind of slip up, I feel like. So, we're gonna see after this fight. I got a tough test against Adriano Moraes, not looking past on one bit. And
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm not looking. I'm not a journalist. I'm not trying to get an answer out of you. I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes. Like, I don't know what else there is for him to do. It's like, all right, like check. Like when you were first getting started, and someone was like, "Hey, dude, here's gonna be your resume when you retire." You'd be like, "Holy shit, what?" It's like, yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you do, but you're one of the guys. Again, we have a million fighters come through the Thick Boy Studios here. There's some guys where I'm like, oh, like after they retire, I don't know what the hell, holding mitts, go hold mitts at a UFC, gym. There's some guys where I'm like, I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe you should keep fighting. You're a guy do not worry about ever. If you want to, you could be the next DC as far as, the way DC's parlayed his career, and he's kind of, he's the blueprint for guys, man, at your level. And he's so fantastic as an analyst. If you wanted to do that, DJ could do that. When it comes to video games, you have a huge, footprint in the video games. I'm sure there's something there for you. There's a million things for you to do, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I feel you hit a spot on the head with going to be an analyst for one championship. I've already done one of those, the Amazon Prime show in Thailand with Superbon and Chinguez. And they've already asked me to come back. They're like, hey, we would love to have you come back and, be part of the broadcast. So that's definitely an opportunity. And then, obviously the gaming world, YouTube's taking off. And I've even thought about having, me and Henry Cejudo have thought about having our own podcast, just me and him chopping it up. A lot of people like our insight to mixed martial arts.
I love it, dude. I love it. When you guys watched I think you guys watched your fight, right? You watched both your fights? Dude, I'm in. And you guys talking about you guys breaking down cards. I'm in, dude. I'm in.
Yeah.
If I could invest in something, I'd invest in a podcast of you and Henry Cejudo, man.
Yeah, so there's a lot of options, we just gotta. But once again, when you decide to go down that route, that takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of setup, takes a lot of commitment. That takes away from.
Can't do both.
You can't have them both.
No, sir.
You can't do both. Like I'm able to do the YouTube by myself, which has been going pretty good. But to do a podcast and a YouTube and a full-time athlete and wife and kids, that's your someone's going to give, and I'm not going to give on my wife and kids.
No, sir.
And then so you got to decide what it is, and that's where all this comes from. Like the whole narrative of this could be my last fight, because at the end of the day, I ask myself, if I can make as much money fighting, doing something else, would I do it? 9 out of 10 times, yes, I would. I would miss the competition aspect of it, but I can get the competition aspect of that same feeling, cut weight, competing by doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where I'm not going to take any potential shots to the head, CTE, anything like that.
Correct.
So that's where that starts to come on. Like just like Chad Mendes, he got done fighting. I'm sure he probably made, I don't know, I'm going to say 6 figures doing bare knuckle fighting. And he's like, I don't need to do this shit anymore. There's stuff I can do that I put my energy into that's paying me just as much or even not more than bare knuckle fighting. So that's where all that stems from.
I get it, brother, 100%. And with Chad Mendes, he's one of those guys who I always root for guys when they blow up outside of when they leave the fighting career, right? I always root for the guys. With Chad Mendes, he's flying under the radar, man, but I don't think people realize how much he's killing it. With his hunting, he does the hunting trips, the fishing trips.
The fishing, absolutely. I mean, he was doing that.
Fish and tits or something? What is it? Fins and feathers. Yeah, fins and feathers.
Fins and feathers, that's what it is. My bad, Chad. My bad.
Yeah, my bad too. I call it fins and tits. I was way off. That's a strip club in Miami. My bad.
Oh, yeah. But he was working on that. I remember, because we shared some cards together back in WEC and the UFC. And I remember he was working on that back then, right? Like slowly thinking of his exit plan already back then when he was fighting for world titles,
Yeah, man.
And now, fast forward to bare knuckle fighting, he just made a nice check. And the Fitz Feathers is taking off, and now it's like, probably I got 6 figures. I'm going to take 25% of this, put it in my thing to expand my business. Those are the athletes that we all should look to and be inspired where
Correct.
they take in another passion of theirs to build. I mean, even you get your podcast going, you do your stand up.
Yep.
Like those are things. Connor, he's got his whiskey. He can come back and fight if he wants, or he doesn't have to. Those are athletes we want to aspire. That's why I want to those athletes inspire me to start thinking about things outside of fighting. And that's where all that narrative comes from, is that people need to understand, yes, fighting is great. It's good money. It's easy money, but you're also, risking your health. You're also risking your brand. You're also risking the opportunity for this guy who beats you to build off of your brand. There's so many things that go into it. So, but yeah, we can go on this all day.
Yeah, and with speaking of Henry Cejudo, there's two. Because it's one championship is different weight classes, but it's still 135. And 135, it's going down this weekend, man. Because you got the greatest of all time, right? You got Moraes, then you got Aljo and Henry Cejudo. How you think your boy Henry Cejudo does coming back after a 3-year layoff?
I think he's going to do good. I trained with him, and, I watched the UFC countdown, and what they said, it made sense. His 3-year layoff wasn't, a layoff that you would think that somebody would have. He had Figueiredo, he had Shane Willie, he had Yuri there, and he also had John Jones, he had myself. I think out of everybody who's been there, me and probably Figueiredo probably got the most actual physical training of me, like fighting, sparring, grappling, or whatnot. So he's still sharp. I think the biggest thing he's going to have to overcome in battle is having that 3 years off, come back as a competitor, going against a guy who's Aljamain Sterling, who's no slouch, tall for the weight class, great grappler, loves. The biggest thing before Aljo went and fought Peter Yan, the biggest thing I said about Aljo that was a turning point for him is that he realized what he was good at, which was being a backpack. Do whatever he can to get on somebody's back, body triangle, and just murder him there.
That's where he's special. And he gets your back, he's special. Yeah,
he's special, though. So now he's dictated his whole game about getting to that point. And that's where I think it makes him dangerous. And that's why I told Henry, I said, dude, at the end of the day, you move better on his feet, you're faster, and you have better rhythm than him. The only thing I'm worried about is that don't let him get on your back. If he gets on your back, then it's going to be a longer night for you. And, it's going to be a great fight. But I'm going for, Henry, obviously, because, we're buddies and, we train together.
Yeah, I assume you're going to pick Henry, and I can see him getting it done. The only thing that I'm a little hesitant with Henry is if you look at the stats, I think Henry's 36. You look at the stats of a 36-year-old fighting for a world title, it's like 1-60. It's not good.
You seen that? You seen that?
It's not good. That worries me a little bit. It worries me a little bit. But I'm not a big odds guy, because when it comes to Henry Cejudo, what makes him an outlier is here. You don't become a gold medalist in the Olympics, a 2-division, champion in the UFC, and ring rust, stuff like that. I'm not worried about that for him. I'm just the only caveat there. It is a 3-year layoff. Aljo's been getting better, and Aljo also has this giant chip on his shoulder. And I don't know. I get why with the Peter Yan stuff like that. The lack of respect that guy gets, I don't know what it's going to take. Because even if he beats Cejudo, people are going to go 3-year layoff. Cejudo's old, man. He's still not going to get respect after this.
Yeah, it's the same with me. I've done the same thing my whole entire career. Let's get back to that 1-60, that interesting number or odds that somebody came out. I read that too because I fell in that category as well because I won the world title at 35 years old. So
you're the one.
That was the one championship. Yeah. That's when championship doesn't count, whatever, right? So, and me, 36 years old, defending the belt, and I think that that number comes from as you get older, it is a lot harder to keep up with the younger crowd. Whether you're 34, 30, 28, whatever it may be. So those odds, those numbers are absolutely real. But I think for Henry, it's that 3-year layoff. He is going to get Aljamain Sterling. But like you said, he is intelligent and he is able to make adjustments just as myself. I can make adjustments along the fight game as well. So I think it's just going to be interesting to see how it unfolds and plays.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I'll be in Denver in Broomfield at your fight. I'll be there, man. Front row, probably cheering like a little cage rat, just like a group. Your wife's gonna be like, who in the hell? I'm excited for it, man. And it's the first time because one of the advantages of it being here in the States is now your family can actually come. because they're not flying to Singapore and wherever the hell else one championship in Asia is holding events. So the kiddos are coming to this fight?
Yep, the kiddos are coming. Tyron and Maverick, they're coming, and they're super excited. Wife's going to be there. Father-in-law, dad's going to be there. Everybody's coming out for this fight.
How old are the kiddos?
They're 9 and 8.
Okay, so they're aware of Dad's a badass. Dad's one of the GOATs, you know. But have they been to a fight before? I'm sure when they were younger.
No, they haven't. But they see me lose. When I fight Henry, when I got knocked out, you know, they're like, oh well, you know. I told them, I was like, Dad does this for money. So whatever happens, remember when I step in that cage is to provide for you guys, to pay for whatever your passions are. And I've seen them compete in jiu-jitsu, so I've seen them lose and they come off the mat crying. I say, hey, dude, it's fine. You know, so for me, I carry myself as a man, but respect. You know, I give ass whoopings and I also take them. So, you know, I'm sure I told them they're prepared for whatever happens in that cage. Remember, Daddy loves you, and I'll be fine.
Yep. Dad's going to be fine. Dad's also one of the greatest of all time, so shut your little mouth also, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like, watch your words, kid.
Here's a funny one. My daughter, she's 4 and she plays video games with me. Well, she watches me play and she goes, see, Daddy, you're still slow. I'm like, you know, I'm one of the fastest motherfuckers in this planet. I was dying. She said, see, Dad, you're still slow.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And the kiddos, I'm assuming they're in, like you said, they're doing jiu-jitsu. Are they playing other sports too? Or are they gravitating towards fighting?
Just jiu-jitsu. They're grabbing towards other sports. Tyron wants to do track, and then Maverick wants to do soccer, and they're both going to do football. So, you know, I want them to do jiu-jitsu to be able to defend themselves because all fights, I believe, end up on the ground. And there's also a sense of discipline in it as well. Yes. And you rank up, you learn, and, you know, who knows what their lives are going to be when they get older, but I want them to be able to defend themselves. And I think them doing football and soccer and running track will just help overall the athletic ability.
And are the kiddos have your genetics? Are they big kids? Are they smaller kids? What are we talking about here?
It's mixed. Tyron's built like my wife, long legs, long torso, and then Maverick's built like me, short, you know, stacked. Yeah. And Tyron's stacked too, but it's just elongated. And then Tanith, I think Tanith is probably the most athletic one out of all of them so far at 4 years old. Like the way she runs. Yeah.
It's interesting to see too when the difference between the kiddos, you know, like my son, he's like, both my kids are big, you know, they're big. I'm big. My girl's super athletic. So my kid's, he's a tank, man. And he just wanted to play soccer because his buddies are playing soccer and he's really good at it because he's athletic, but you know, he's just a big dude out there. And then he'll cut, you know, they're awful. I think they've lost 6 games in a row. So, and I got to take him, like, God damn it. So he'll get upset. He'll get upset. I'm like, man, don't tell your mom this, but you're not going to play soccer, dude. You're too big for soccer, bro. Like, this isn't for you. It's going to help your footwork because he wants to play football. I'm like, it's going to help in football. But outside that, man, soccer ain't your path, bro. Yeah, he's half Mexican, so he gravitates towards football. But I'm like, soccer. But I'm like, dude, ditch that Mexican side, bud. You're gonna play football.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, you can't teach size. That's one thing that's, you know, for basketball and football, depending on how tall you are or how big you are, you know, you can't teach size.
No, man, but you've handled it well with your size because with people, and I'm sure you inspire a lot of dudes because when you're a shorter athlete, there's not a ton of options. Like football wasn't in the cards for you. Basketball, sure as hell not, you know? So it's like there's few things you can do. Obviously kids gravitate towards wrestling. And for you got to inspire a lot of dudes who, you know, are smaller people.
Yeah, a lot of guys, they get a lot of inspiration from me. You know, a lot of people who are 5'3", 5'5", you know, 5 foot.
Short kings, dude. You're the short king.
Yeah, short king, you know. Because being able to go out there and provide for my family and not let height be a limitation to what we can do and perform. So I'm totally happy with running that flag to the bank and letting people know, like, hey, dude, you're 5'2". This good thing about, you know, combat sports, you're fighting someone who's your size. Boxing too. Boxing, I would say mixed martial arts, and even kickboxing and Muay Thai are the ones that you can actually make a living off of if you're good and successful at the highest level.
You know what's interesting? I was at the press conference when One Championship was announcing like they're coming to America, that giant press conference all you guys were at. And I saw Moraes there. He is not a short king. He's giant, dude. I was like
5'8".
I was like, who's that? They're like, that's who DJ's from. I'm like, what the hell? He's huge, dude. Isn't he big? He has to be the biggest guy you fought.
Yeah, him and Tim Elliott and Dominic Cruz. So, it's funny. It's very interesting. I just feel like I'm a dense guy, right? Because when I look at the 125-pound champion, the strawweight, Jared Brooks, like I'm a little bit taller than him, but I'm also just thicker than him. Like my thighs, my back, I'm just big. Even like, all of the strawweight guys that I've been next to, we're all the same height, but I'm just more dense. So, Adriano, he's just 5'8", not very big legs, long torso, big upper body, but his lower body's not like stacked or whatever. Everybody carries their weight totally different, but yeah, he's definitely a big boy.
Yeah, I'll end this pretty soon, brother. I know you gotta chill and get ready for this fight and hang out in Denver. But yeah, I think what's interesting too about this fight, this being the rubber match here, it's not like both fights were dominant one way or the other. Like you two fight, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that first fight could have went your way easily. The second fight, he had some success, and then you finished him off. Like it's not like, you're not looking at a situation where one dominated the entire time, then the rematch one dominated. Like it's a toss up, man. It's a good freaking fight.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it that way, you look at the first fight, like it was me trying to get to him. I got him in my clinch, went at a nice knee to the liver, and then he ended up, I don't know if he caught my kick, and then he pulled guard and was going for a leg work. He was able to reverse that, get on top of me, and then that was the end of the first round. And then the second round came out, leg kicking, moving, looking good. It's got caught that uppercut and that knee to ground an opponent. Yeah. That was it, right? And then you look at my fight, second fight, going out there throwing body kicks. He catches it again, takes me down. I beat him up on my back. We're fighting. Then eventually he's starting to slow down. I'm still getting faster, and right hand flying into the cage. So I think the third fight's going to be the same thing. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to take a risk, push the pace, see what happens, see if I can find an opening, or I'm going to create an opening. I'm not going to look for it. I'm going to create an opening, and then I'm going to try to put him away again.
Yeah, it's a scrap, man. Was there any point, because I'm sure it was, obviously a risk going over to One Championship. Leaving UFC is a big risk. And we've had guys do it before from the UFC and didn't work out. They go over and they just get their ass whooped in this other organization, and they kind of drift off into, the either. We don't really hear from. Is there any point when you're fighting One Championship where you're like, oh, I made the right choice? Like obviously now we can say that in hindsight, it's like, of course it was the right choice. Was there a certain moment, or was there something where you're like, yep, this was the right choice?
I knew once I started the motions of trying to get out of my contract that it was the right choice. The reason why I say that is because, with you at that time in UFC, you didn't know if they were going to keep 125, they're getting rid of it.
That's right.
There wasn't the best relationship between me and the UFC. Not saying it was bad, but there was a number of transparency of like what they wanted to do, right? So with that being said, and there was almost a ceiling at that time in 2018. There was a ceiling on like how much money I could make. It was like, you're at 350 and you're going to escalate to 10, 10, 10 or whatever. And then you get pay-per-view points one time. So, obviously things could be different if I was like, I'm getting pay-per-view points on all of my title defenses, and I end up on a Connor card or Jones card, or we just sell the fuck out, then things would be different, but that wasn't the case. So for me, just to have the opportunity to be able to travel abroad, fight for One Championship, have the opportunity to do something different, like the mixed rules fight with the Broadting, which is a huge
I love that
thing in my legacy, and everybody around the world love that. Like till this day, I still think that's my biggest fight at One Championship, because it was something out of the ordinary. Everybody knew who Broadting was. Like my friends, they don't watch fighting, but they know who Broadting was. Like
Broadting, just for the listeners, Broadting, he can't walk the streets in Thailand. Broadting is Tom Cruise of Thailand. Massive. Yeah. He's massive, dude.
Massive. So, when I was ready to fight Adriano the first time, they're like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, he's a Brazilian, great guy, amazing athlete, he's a champion. Even the second time, me about to fight Adriano, I was like, they're like, who you fighting? I was like, Adriano. I was like, who's that? Even the third time, like, who you fighting? I'm like, Adriano again. They're like, who the fuck is that? And I'm like, it's the guy just beat. And he goes, oh, okay. Yeah. But when I say Broadting, they're like, You fighting that crazy motherfucker?
Yeah.
Like everybody knew who he was. So when they brought that fight to me, I was like, yep, I'll take it because, you see a lot of people now in this sport of mixed martial arts are like, I want to fight the biggest names. That's, I want to fight the biggest names in the sport. And, that's what Conor does. Like Conor's like, who's the biggest name? Like, I'd rather fight him. And it just tests myself because I know it's going to do very well with numbers wise. So.
No, I you've done it the right way, man. And I thought it was interesting. Again, we had me and Chatri have worked together before, and I met him briefly once. And then when I had him in studio here, I was with him for about 2 hours. Dude, I would have ran through a wall for that dude. And you look at his background, Harvard educated, him being an immigrant, living out of a briefcase with his mom, sleeping on the ground in a sleeping bag, started one championship from nothing. It's like, oh yeah, this is why he's having the success. Like Rodtang is a bad mamma jamma, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chatri's story is absolutely amazing what he's been able to do with the sport of, one championship. I don't want to say mixed martial arts because it's not. One championship isn't just mixed martial arts, but what he's been able to do for martial arts in general and at the highest level. I know a lot of grapplers who grapple. They don't make great money. Unless you go off and you create a DVD and you BJJ Fanatics or whatever. You're having all that stuff like Gordon Ryan and all those guys. But to give those guys a platform to be able to compete and make good money, it's awesome. No other organization is doing it, so why not? Even Muay Thai or even kickboxing, it gives those guys a platform to be able to compete and make great money.
Yeah, he's changing the game. And when he was out here, I mean, obviously the news now is Francis Ngannou didn't sign with one championship. Like they both decided it wasn't going to work out. It drives me nuts. Now, I assume Francis has something up his sleeve. He's supposed to announce he's going to sign with another promotion. Maybe it's that boxing thing. But I just thought what Chatri offered him I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. This is a done deal. When I heard he didn't take him, like, that's insane to me. I don't know where else he's going to go where he's going to be able to beat that deal.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing, for Francis is that anybody, when I talk to Eddie Alvarez, Eddie says he always, when he signs a deal, he says, what's the fastest way for me to become a free agent? When he said it to me, I was like, why is that? And he goes, because I always believe in myself. I always bet on myself, right? So you think about it, Eddie Alvarez is hot right now. He's hot. He just had Eddie believes in brand new. He's always going to fight his ass off.
Yep.
Just won the bare knuckle fighting championship, right? He's a hot stock right now in North America. Everybody's talking about him. Yep. Now he's a free agent. He can do whatever he wants. He's not tied down to one organization. So maybe for Francis, he's fought for one of the biggest organizations in the world. He's made great money. Now he's a free agent. I just saw that his last fight was 400 days ago. But, I don't know what the logistics, the money wise, he was, asked for one championship or I don't know what that conversation was. But, you wait one time to fight in boxing, 10 million, 15 million. You're not going to make that in any MMA promotion at all. One-time deal, one-time gig. You fight, you sign a contract, you fight, you're done, you walk away, you're not tied, you're not locked down, do whatever you want. I think that means more to him than being under any UFC one championship. I think that's where, if I was him, that's what I would be striving for. It's like, I'm looking for that one payday where I sign one deal, fight, get paid, and it's like, okay, now, shit, man, I want to go do mixed martial arts. Do mixed martial arts, go do something else. That's what I think he's looking for.
Yeah, I assume he has that out there. Otherwise, he wouldn't have turned. Talk to your boy Chatri about what they offered him. Talk to Chatri. Okay. You'll see it, and you'll be like, "Wait, what? I've never seen some shit like this." I was like, "Wait, what? Oh my god! It's not my place to out what the numbers were. It's nuts, dude. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. You're gonna be like, holy shit."
I'll talk and I'll find out. I'll find out.
Do it, brother. Yeah, because I assume Francis does have that some sort of guarantee in the boxing world to turn this. Yep. He has to. He absolutely has.
He has to. If what you're telling me, if it was what you're telling me, then he has to, right? And like I said, he's gambling.
I'll tell you off air when we stop shooting. I'll tell you off air. So I don't want to put Chatri's business out there, but when off air, I'll tell you. It's nuts, dude. I was like, I'll fight him. I'll fight him for that much money. I'll do it right now. Yeah. Like I don't need training camp, nothing. Sign me up, dude. But yeah, man, you're doing the right way, man. You got a beautiful family. You're one of the GOATs. Last question. We'll end on this. it's not up to you for you to decide if you're the greatest of all time. What the fans and the media let you know, right? But you're always in the conversation.
Yep.
It's always one or two all the time. Who is on your list of, let's just go top 3 GOATs if you had to pick? Let's take you out of it. You're number 1. Let's say you're number 1. Take you out of it.
GSP, John Jones, and then I'm going to say Habib. Like those 3. When I sit back, I've been pondering about this too. Been pondering about it because I always said, and I have a lot of more athletes who are the GOAT as well. Henry Cejudo is right there. He is definitely the greatest combat. He is the greatest combat athlete of all time. Gold, little medalist, flyweight, defending the belt, bantamweight, defending the belt, come back and kind of win the belt again. Only thing I'll say from Henry is I'd love to see him get a submission. When I look at all 3 of those guys, GSP, he's knocked people out. He's got a submission. He's got a decision or whatever. John Jones, same thing. Even with Habib Nurmagomedov. I don't know if he's actually hit somebody went out cold, but he submitted people, and so those guys have showcased everything for me, and they've been champions. I would love to see more from Habib, but I think the stipulations, what happened with his father, and him and his injuries too, kind of postpone him fighting a lot. So, but yeah, I'll put those 3.
Yeah, the only knock on Khabib, he just didn't do it long enough, right? His reign wasn't long enough when he was the title holder. That's the only knock on Khabib. My argument's always for John Jones because he's at a higher weight class. The level and the room for error for him to get finished is so much bigger than the rest of the guys that you mentioned. So I was, and you look at the level of competition that John Jones had, especially early on after he beat Shogun. It's just like murderer's row of who's who. Now, granted, that the heavier weights always have bigger stars a lot of the times, so that plays into it. But and then obviously John at heavyweight now just adds more to his resume.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, you're gonna get no argument here, man. You're one of the GOATs. You know this. Everyone knows this, and I'm excited to see it live Friday in action in Broomfield, Colorado, my man. I appreciate you taking the time, and I will see you out there, brother. You keep that skin moisturized. I'm gonna go toss on some moisturizer right freaking now, dude. Jesus Christ.
You know it. You know it. Thanks, man.
You know it. All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Likewise.
Out of the way for the goal. Move out of the way for the goal.
Oh, big knee!
The greatest of all time.
Here we go, the epic trilogy fight.
For the first time ever, Demetrious Johnson defends the one flyweight world championship in the USA.
Greatest of all time. I'm an animal. No bark or bite. That's why they call me GOAT.
One Fight Night 10. Johnson versus Moraes 3 on Prime Video.